Hey guys, so this is the first episode of a new monthly series where we actually go in and take a look at the damage data from the latest gold earning raids. So for me right now, the latest gold earning raids are Theamine, normal and hard. Then it's going to be Voldus hard, and then Akan hard. So we're going to take a look at this data month to month, see if there are any changes, and then see if any balance patches affect things, any new raids affect things, just kind of take a look at this data over time. Also, before we dive into this video, if you are watching this on the day of release, which is June 15th, I am having a podcast tonight at 9 p.m. PST with Mr. Benji and Memorizer. So we're going to be discussing Loa on topics, post Loa on topics. So if you guys are interested in seeing this podcast, please tune into my stream starting at 9 p.m. PST tonight at twitch.tv/MisoXshiru. I will also be doing a HelloFresh cooking stream right before, starting at 7. So if you want to join for that as well, feel free to come by. So starting off, we're going to take a look at Theamine, normal and hard. Let's drop to hard first because we want to go from the highest to the lowest, I guess. So Theamine hard, gate 1. It's pretty, I guess, expected. Master Summoner, Igniter, Knight's Edge are going to be at the top, right? These have been consistently one of the strongest performing classes in the game. Brawl King Storm up here, not super surprising either, though there has been, I guess, a little bit of a disappointment in Brawl King's performance. I think overall people are thinking that it's a little bit weaker than it should be or was expected to be. So it's good to see Brawl King up here. Esso's up here, Full Moon Harvester, Sura, Empress, Perfect Suppression, interestingly enough, is also up here for gate 1. Barrage is expected. Gravity Training, I mean, I guess Gravity Training is pretty strong because the bosses are very, they do a lot of knockups, right? And Gravity Training is one of those classes where you don't get knocked up much. So that does make sense. It is, stronger side on the stronger side, but the data is a little bit lacking here, right? When we're taking a look at hard mode Theamine data, the data in general is going to be lacking, but there are some like Gravity Training that are going to be just missing quite a bit. So, robust energy overflow, like these kind of make sense, right? Interestingly enough, time to hunt is up here pretty high. I'd say like overall, people say that Gunslingers are not doing too well, and I still agree. But it looks like time to hunt is at least making its mark up here, even though its ceiling is not super, super high. So there is that. But the data is kind of lacking there too. Reflux Drizzle. Interesting. Okay. And I'm surprised that Lunar Voice is kind of so low. I mean, I'm not super surprised, but in general, Lunar Voice has been kind of consistently doing well in a lot of raids, so I think it is pretty interesting. So that's kind of the top half, and let's take a look at the bottom half, right? Starting at the bottom, somebody coming in with a DPS artist, all right. Lone Knight, Combat Readiness, all kind of makes sense. Demonic Impulse, pretty dang weak, unfortunately. Personally, these transform classes are going to be lower on this list in general, but we'll see how that changes with tier 4, right? Maybe tier 4 with the new gem system, they might get increased and buffed, and the new systems as well. So hopefully that might change. My boy Deathblow down here, not looking good at all. Interestingly, Hunger is so low too. Interesting. And then we have Esso Flurry. Like, you have quite a few classes that are kind of usually down on the bottom, being down at the bottom. But not much of a surprise here. But the top was a little bit of a surprise. What about Gate 2? Gate 2, we have Sura being number 1. That is very interesting. I think that in general, people consider Gate 2 to be a very bad entropy class gate. So it's interesting to see that Sura is up here, especially as a gate where, I guess, the boss moves around a lot, and Sura being one that you have to stand still for like a good period of time to get your full damage in. Interesting. And then RE is up here too, surprisingly above Surge. Wow. And we see Igniter, Master Summoner, all these, the number 1, number 2 usually down here. Huh. I really wonder why. And as we go down further, we have Full Moon, Energy Overflow, Punisher, going from like near bottom to top. I guess that makes sense-ish. Though it does move a lot less in Gate 2 than in Gate 1, but still. Empress, Surge, Lunar, Robust, Enhanced Weapon. Surprisingly, Enhanced Weapon, from what I've seen, is actually a pretty top tier class when it comes to Theamine. All gates, actually. First Intention, interestingly enough, Perfect Suppression is also putting their mark pretty high up here in general, Gate 1 and Gate 2. Wow, and Hunger really shot up. Holy. Sheesh. All right, let's go to the bottom, right? As expected, Low Knight, Recurrent somehow slightly edging over Low Knight. Combat Readiness, Loyal Companion, Demonic Impulse, Rage Hammer, Evo, Deathblow, Drizzle dropping way down from Gate 1. Interesting. But these are all medians, right? So on average performance. Mutation Overflow, Wind Fury, Gravity Training, very, very low. I mean, again, it does move around a lot, which is, again, surprisingly why Sura is up so high. So that's Gate 2 hard. Gate 3, wow, RE on top on this one. Interesting. And then we have Sura, no surprise there. Master Summoner, Shock Training, doing pretty dang well up here. I mean, in general, it's like okay performing in the 3-1. It's about average, but this one's pretty above average, which is interesting. Surge, Hunger, going up and up and up. I guess maybe Hunger is just better as the gates are more stationary. Knight's Edge, Brawl King, Igniter, Esoteric, Enhancement, Looter Voice, kind of all like expected, right? PS again showing up pretty high here. Reflux also making an entry here, because in the general it's kind of like in the middle section, right? Middle, below average to below average. Enhanced Weapon again. Empress. Control also doing decently well, but fairly low sample size. Same with Time to Hunt, right? So Esso Flurry doing well for Striker too. I mean, in general, I'd say Striker is okay in this gate, but Esso's doing a lot better than Deathblow, which is very interesting. Deathblow's down here. But going down to the bottom, again, Combat Readiness, Low Knight, FPE, Demonic Impulse, Loyal Companion. It's the usual classes, though Evo did go up quite a bit, and Robust somehow is pretty low on this list, surprisingly. You would think that if the boss is standing still quite a bit, Robust Spirit not really missing their Spirit Bombs as much. I'm not sure, but yeah, and Predator and Punisher. Punisher being this low is also kind of surprising with the boss being so stationary. But all right, moving on to Gate 4, which is going to be very, very limited. This is all going to be taken with a huge grain of salt. So, because these are very little data. Brawl King Storm, Gravity Training being really high up on here, interesting, but has a very low ceiling, surprisingly. But it's average performing very well. Lunar Voice, Knight's Edge, Igniter, all the usual. Drizzle, interesting. Again, we just have, it might be a data thing, lack of data. Master Summoner, Remaining Energy, Surge, Shock Training, Robust Spirit. AT in here doing pretty well too. I think like when you take a look at Gate 4 hard mode data, a lot of it really comes down to like people who are like really good at their classes. Less so about like overall how well the class is doing, but pretty much about like, are there any like class specialists that are just doing crazy damage? But still at the bottom, we have our representatives. Combat Readiness, Low Knight, Demonic Impulse. Let's see, Evolutionary Legacy still down here. Rage Hammer, Control's pretty low. Time to Hunt, very low compared to before. Emperor is pretty low on this list, surprisingly. Compared to before, Wind Fury, Energy Overflow, Predator, Hunger, Pinnacle. You know, kind of a lot of the usual suspects down here. But that is hard mode. We're not normal mode. So we're going to go through this a little bit quicker, because I think a lot of it is going to be very samey. So Igniter, Master Summoner, Barrage, and Exoteric Skill, Knight's Edge, Reflux, interestingly enough, very high on this list as well. Full Moon, Emperor. Brawl King is a bit lower than how it was placing in hard mode, but still pretty good. Robust Spirit, interesting. Peacemaker doing pretty well up here as well. Huh. Okay. Enhanced Weapon up here, like in general. Oh, Firepower, interesting. Firepower is usually at the bottom, but here in normal mode, it's pretty high up. At least in Gate 1. Where is Sura? So Sura is down here. So we can see there's a huge difference between like the hard mode Asura players and the normal mode Asura players. Maybe just a lot of these normal mode Asura players are like barely gemmed. Maybe it's all like event gem users and things like that, right? They just pushed their Asura class high and they weren't able to invest in their gems. So that kind of makes sense. And also in general, these are going to be alts and these are going to be mains, and the people who are maining the class are going to be a lot better at using the class, especially with Asura, which is a class that does have quite a low floor, as we can see, and a high ceiling. So that makes sense. Low Knight, Combat Readiness, Judgment, interesting. Loyal Companion, Hunger, Demonic Impulse, ISO Flurry. So like comparing normal and hard, it's like you can see there are a lot of similarities, but also some key differences as well, which is interesting. Gate 2, Igniter Robust. Yeah, all the usual suspects up here, right? But Asura this time jumping quite a bit up from the middle, which is interesting. Surge, again, pretty dang low. Again, comes with the fact that the class is a low floor, high ceiling. And then going down to the bottom, we have Low Knight, Combat Readiness, Rage Hammer, Loyal Companion. Again, the usual suspects all down here again. Going to Gate 3, we have the usual guys up here again. And we have the usual people down here again. So it really is a very consistent thing going on up here compared and down here for all the gates and difficulties. There are some differences, but for the most part, they're very similar. Knight's Edge surprisingly not doing too well, but it makes sense. Knight's Edge pretty much excels on any content, but like when the boss is standing still, there are going to be other classes that do edge it out. Heading on to Ivory Tower, we're going to go to hard mode of this, and interesting enough, there is not much data here. I wonder why. Did they just lose a bunch of the data here? Huh. Let's go to the other website then. This one, our old website, and then we'll sort by median, and then we will go to oldest hard mode. There we go. Oldest hard mode. It's the graph is flipped, by the way. Gravity Training at the top for Gate 1. Ball King Stance, Igniter, Asura, kind of the usual suspects, except Gravity Training doing pretty dang well up here. Death Strike instances, interestingly enough, making its appearance here. Same with EO, pretty high up. So Master Summoner, kind of lower on this list, which is surprising. 604 entries, not a ton. But I guess with this boss moving a ton, it makes sense that Master Summoner doesn't do that well, because all of its all of its big hits are very, like, I guess, back focused. So does make a little bit sense why it's here, but a little bit surprising for sure. And then going to the bottom, we have Low Knight, Combat Readiness, Firepower, Loyal Companion, all the usual suspects again, down here, all over again. Though Demonic Impulse, quite high on this list, interestingly enough. What about Gate 2? Igniter, Sora, Empress, Brawl King, Enhanced Weapon making its entry here. I think Gate 2 is a little bit interesting because it's very class focused, as in like, depending on your class, it really can make your damage go really high or really low just because of like cooldowns. For example, like Gravity Training here is like pretty dang low, right? And it was like pretty dang high here. And it makes sense because Gravity Training doesn't care about cooldowns. It mostly cares about just being able to get into its bonking form quicker. So that makes a lot of sense. But still, most of the usual suspects up here. What about Gate 3, which, rest in peace, is going to be disappearing soon. Remaining energy, pretty dang high here. Surge, high up here as well. Sura, high up. Gravity Training, again, pretty high up here. I think in general, Gravity Training does pretty dang well in Voldus, but every other content, kind of rough. Surprisingly, though, Igniter is pretty dang low here, and again, Master Summoner also lower on the list, but maybe it's just that the boss is pretty entry friendly, so you're going to be seeing all the entropy classes up here. Though Knight's Edge, surprisingly, very high up for a, I guess, gate that is very good for entry classes. And then here we have the Gate 4 hard, Asura on top, Gravity Training on top, Brawl King up here too, remaining energy, Emperor, Full Moon. Where is Igniter and Master Summoner? Wow, pretty far down. Interesting. And again, with these gates, right, these bosses right here, they do move around quite a bit, so it does kind of make good sense that some of these classes are lower. And then we have our usual suspects on the bottom. So that is Ivory Tower. I think in general, like most gates, these are going to be the top classes, as we can see. And then let's go to Akan. Hopefully they have data for this one. Okay, not like a ton of data, but there's still a lot more data than Ivory Tower. I'm not entirely sure why this website was doing that, but it's okay. We'll take a look at this one. Akan Hard. There we go. So we have a big entry here from Judgment Paladin, which I'm not really going to be looking at too much. This is definitely an outlier here. And in terms of item level, it's going to be within... Oh, wow. It goes all the way from 1600 to 1675. Okay. So we have Igniter, Punisher, EO. Interesting. Okay. EO Akan Gate 1 is pretty dang good. Surge, Robust, and Sura is pretty far down here. And Master Summoner, I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? But Punisher being up here is quite interesting. I wonder why Punisher is so high here compared to like Thaymine, for example. All the usual people up here, though the kind of order is very different. But again, Igniter up top and Master Summoner is still very, very strong. Deathblow is surprisingly pretty high up here as well. Gravity Training being up here is interesting. Maybe this guy's just ignoring all the mechs and eating everything and being an absolute terrorist. That might be the case. And then we go to the bottom, our normal suspects down here. Yep, not doing all that hot. What about Gate 2? Gate 2, we have Igniter at the top again, Robust near the top, interesting. Berserker's Technique, Energy Overflow, Esso, Master Summoner, Sura, I mean, and Peacemaker making a big appearance up here at top as well. We have Death Strike, Punisher. I mean, like, these guys, a lot of these people are either always here or definitely been seen up here every now and then, depending on the fight, right? Looks like Knight's Edge is actually performing pretty low on average, surprisingly, on this gate. How was it in Gate 1, actually? I don't think I ever even talked about it. Knight's Edge, where was it? Wow. Down here, below average. I really wonder why Knight's Edge is performing so weak in Hard Akan. That is very surprising. I'm not entirely sure about that one. I can't actually... Thinking on top of my head, I can't really think of why it's like that. Let me know down in the comment section below if you guys can kind of hypothesize. And then down at the bottom, the usual suspects. Though Taijutsu is pretty dang low down here. I feel like normally it's a little bit higher. But again, the other folks, pretty normal. And then Gate 3, Hard Akan, Igniter, Master Summoner, Punisher up here again, Shock Training, Berserker's Technique, Esso, Robust Spirit, Gravity Training, Surge, Lunar Voice. I'd say, like, in general, like, Akan is not very Gravity Training friendly from what I've known. Destroyer in general. So it's interesting to see that they're doing actually pretty well. So maybe it's doing better than I expected in Akan. I just heard from Destroyer mains that Akan is not a very good fight for Destroyers and front attack in general. See, Asura is pretty low in here for that kind of reason. Lunar, remaining energy. Yeah, I mean, kind of to be expected. Full Moon Harvester kind of low on this list. Barrage kind of low on this list. But mostly still within the ballpark where you'd expect, right? But again, Knight's Edge just really underperforming here. I'm really curious as to why Knight's Edge is underperforming so much in these gates in Akan. Somebody out here running a true Courage Bard. We have a Recurrence here as well. And of course at the top, Judgment, right? Combat Readiness, Firepower, Lone Knight, just all the usual. Rage Hammer, Control, Evo, Demonic, Loyal Companion, Wind Fury, Drizzle. Sadly, these guys are forever down here near the bottom. But that is about it, guys. That is the data going into the month of June for Lost Ark. As we can see, usually the top performing classes are going to be Igniter Sork, Master Summoner, going to be some Asura, going to be some Full Moon Harvester, so Soul Eaters, Sorks, Summoners eaten very well, Reaper in general eating pretty well as well. Of course, Deathblade always eating well, Breaker eating well in general as well. And I guess it's no surprise, right? But it is interesting to see kind of these surprise entries in certain gates. So it's not like, these classes in general, right? The ones that I just listed are going to be the top tiers, but the other classes seem to be fairly okay balanced because they are moving up and down depending on what the fight is. But of course, at the bottom, we always have like the bottom feeders, and those are always going to be very low on the list. So it would be great to see with Season 4, these kind of getting shifted up, but also not always seeing some classes at the top and always seeing some classes at the bottom and seeing them move around a little bit more depending on how the fight goes. But that's about it, guys. I'll be doing this every single month and checking in on this DPS chart every single month to let you guys know what the updates are, changes are, because we do have a balance patch coming up very soon, right? So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comment section below if you want to see more of these videos. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, please remember to hit the like button, hit the sub button, ring the bell for notifications. And also, I stream every single night starting at 10 p.m. PST on twitch.tv/MeSelectShiru. So hopefully I see you guys there. But if not, hopefully I'll see y'all on the next video. And again, podcast tonight. All right, guys. See ya.